Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Welcome, all rookies and rookettes. The next edition of Bill's Planet.
You know what I think of this morning when I think that?
What?
What is his name? Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh,
Robin Williams.
On Vietnam. Yeah, Robin Williams.
I saw that movie not too long ago. That was good. Episode number 149.
Woo!
How to survive anyone selling real estate.
That almost doesn't make sense. Surviving anybody selling. That's good, isn't it? They're selling stuff, and
A lot of our listeners are nervous or scared about talking to sellers.
A lot of our listeners are afraid to call for order pizza. No, you call. I'm not going to call. You call. Gee, what are you in high school?
Here we go.
Sorry.
The biggest and most common mistake any investor makes is always on the first contact.
Oh.
Why? Because you only have a minute or two for the seller to decide they want to keep giving you their attention. And just like a teenage boy, Peter, on a Friday night dance with girls, the seller only has one thing on their mind.
Hey there.
Nope, not just yet. What your seller needs before selling is an offer. They don't want you to buy their house in the first phone call. They just want an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What if the buyer and the seller are not on the same page and they don't match? What if the buyer wants to pay $100,000 for a $200,000 house? Just like the teenage girls at the party, they won't stick around to see what's available. Figured you'd have some comment on that.
I'm trying to stay quiet, Bill. I'm trying.
What does this mean to you? You don't have much time on the initial contact to get your seller interested in the deal by giving too much away. Okay? Listen to this podcast to see how to keep sellers interested and listen to your offers so that they actually sell to you.
Bill, you know how I keep people talking to me?
Oh, don't tell me it's jokes, because that's not true.
No, it's better than jokes.
Oh, boy.
Are you sitting down?
Better than your jokes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sitting down.
I'm charming.
Oh, Jesus.
But I am. Well, you actually have to be likable.
Peter, we have a reputation after 150 podcasts
that
we're straightforward and tell the truth. Now, you're going to blow that on the 150th show?
I don't even have to say it. It's just known. I'm just reminding people that. No, seriously?
Just ask you and you'll tell us.
I
right?
will. I will. But seriously, I've, listened to a lot of people, your students, coaching, and some of them are just kind of gruff.
Okay.
They just like that. That's just the way they talk. Hey, what's going on? They're just gruff with the way they talk to people. Right. And you can't get on a phone and be like, you got a house for sale. You have to be, nice, something. So,
okay.
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 Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Do your show.
I'm stuck on the part where you think you're charming.
Oh, I know it. I don't have to say it. I'm just a little reminder.
Emma's laughing at that one, and she doesn't even listen to the podcast when we're doing it. She's off doing something else.
She knows it too.
She knows it too. All right, Peter.
What?
I have a disclaimer on today's podcast. Let's stop joking.
Anything
let's get
that
right
Peter
down to
says.
business. No, let's get down to business. I have a disclaimer on today's podcast.
Yeah.
I have a hidden agenda for doing this podcast. It may not be an hour. It might be a little bit longer, but I promise you it's well worth it because we've never done this before. I'm having a little trouble with some of my coaching clients on what to say and how to say it when they're talking to sellers. So I decided instead of doing a whole dissertation or lecture or whatever you want to call it on my coaching call and taking up coaching time, I would actually put it in this podcast.
Oh.
So this is actually not a podcast per se. It's me talking to my coaching clients on a specific problem, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's kind of an odd podcast because you and I are going to talk about it, but we're actually talking to my coaching clients. So this is as if you were in a coaching session with me in a private coaching call.
Bill, that sounds like a bonus.
Okay. Actually, it sounds like to me, I want to get it off my back because I'm sick and tired of my guys giving me a hard time, and I need to teach them this, and I don't want to take the time. I don't want to do a workshop. I don't want to do a special call. I don't want. So I'm like, I'll just do a podcast.
Well, I'm just thinking that if this is good for your coaching students who are like somewhat advanced because they're really at it and being coached, it might be of some value to the listeners.
This is going to be huge. This is huge. What I'm going to teach today is going to be exceptional. It's a little theory, but I'm telling you that in every sales position I've ever had, I've become the super salesperson, number one in that industry, doing exactly what I'm going to show you today. Okay? So let's get started.
Go.
Number one, this is a law. This is a law. This is a law.
Is this a natural law from God?
Yes. Deals live and die by your words. Deals live and die by your words. I almost named the podcast that, but deals live and die by your words. So what you're saying when you're talking to your sellers has everything to do with how you're buying, right? Yeah. The second disclaimer I want to have is that, like I spoke about last night in the meetup, there's two buckets. When you're looking at buying houses, there's like the cash offers, like the people that want cash, and we need to have a discount to be able to give them cash. And then there's the people that want to do terms deals. In other words, they're willing to take payments until you can pay them off. This completely applies to that bucket. I'm talking about buying pretty houses. I'm talking about terms deals. I'm talking about talking to people in that bucket. Okay, so this does not really pertain to like if you're going to go on the MLS and buy a probate house or something like that, or a bank-owned property.
Right.
Okay, this is if you can't get bank qualified, you don't have great credit, and you decided you want to be a creative real estate investor because you can't do it the conventional way or don't want to do it the conventional way. What I'm going to teach you today is the meat and potatoes of how to make deals, but it's not sexy, it's not fancy, it's not what people think they need until they start making offers, then they realize how valuable it is. So for some, this might be too steep of a gradient, but sooner or later you'll come back to this podcast because what I'm going to show you how to do today is just freaking awesome. Okay?
All right.
So investors who survive and thrive, and any deal built a solid set of questions that guaranteed excellent results. Any one of my coaching clients that are good did this. They actually survive and thrive because they built a good set of questions and they knew what to do. If you have more great answers than a prospect has questions, the stress goes out of the job of selling it, selling your position, right? And your self-confidence soars. Okay? You can hardly wait for the prospect to raise a particular objection, stall, or resistance, which is most commonly called a rebuttal. Okay? Because you know what you have. In other words, in your arsenal, you know what you have, and not just one or two ways with dealing with whatever somebody says, but literally more than a dozen powerful ways to obliterate whatever concerns or considerations they have. And when you do that, it becomes a whole different ballgame. Like for me, it's actually kind of funny, not like laughable, but kind of like odd funny, because I'm constantly, when I sit in front of somebody, I'm constantly thinking, come on, give me something I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Give me a new one. Give me one that I can go work on. Because I've just heard them so many times. And when I say, we're going to talk about this, but when I talk about scripts, and you know this, what happens is somebody will say, I need to talk to my realtor, for example. I'll flip the switch and I'll just go blah, 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 blah. It's my script. I have it memorized because I invented them and it's easier for me. But my point is that if you have a persuasive answer for that, you'll keep the conversation going. And sooner or later, you'll walk through a sequence and they'll be at the end and they'll be like, what do we got to do? Right?
Sure.
So there should be no objection or rebuttal that you should dread. If you have that, you're just undereducated. That's all there is to it. Okay?
And ill-prepared.
And ill-prepared. And we're going to talk about that. An investor who is afraid of hearing an objection or being rejected will not make it. He won't make his calls. So you talk about this. You've talked about this before. He won't make as many calls as you should. If you're worried about what the person's going to say and you're worried about all that kind of stuff, are you going to pick the phone up and try to talk to somebody?
No, you're afraid you won't do it right and you'll lose. So why put yourself in that position?
Is it going to thwart your reach to be able to go out and find deals?
Oh, undeniably.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as talking to the girl in the bleacher at the dance.
Right. Okay. So this causes the investor to do anything and everything else but talk to sellers and make offers. Right? They will spend hours, Peter, organizing files, looking at properties online, right? Watching online videos and buying and doing courses, right? Doing research on things that they don't even need. They're just researching them.
Well, isn't it a law that the more a person organizes, isn't that just a symptom of the fear?
Yeah.
Of not being able to face up to doing the actual task? So not ready, not educated, not prepared.
Right. So I wonder how many of our listeners this sounds familiar to.
Well, the good news is this identifies the actual problem, but more than that, it gives a solution. I mean, if you're going to do research, if you're going to organize, if you're going to poke around for the answers to what you're worried about, so you're prepared, and then you shouldn't be worried. Then go practice.
So there's actually two categories when you're learning this. So one is you're actually like I was, just dumb, and I mean that not in a derogatory way. I'm not like beating myself up, but just dumb and just go do what somebody tells you. In other words, I paid for some coaching and I just went and did what he told me to do.
Right.
And I was just dumb about it. I was blindfolded and I just went in and I just realized what the barriers were myself.
Yeah, but the good part about that doing it that way is, if anything screws up, it's not your fault. It's the other guy's fault.
Well, in the beginning, I didn't have a coach. I was just doing stuff.
Yeah,
and
but
I
just whatever you've learned. If it doesn't work, it's their fault because they taught you. So at least, well, it ain't my fault. I did what they said. But then you could refine it. Then you could advance from there. So you're a little bit off the hook. So just try it.
Right. So the second thing that can happen is you think that you know what the barriers will be, and you'll go get prepared for a bunch of stuff. Now, let me give you an example of this, because this is actually a stupid mistake that I made just recently. Okay? You buy a house, we'll say subject to, okay? Taking over the deed, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know what that means, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. There's videos there. Okay? They show you all the deal structures, how to do them. There's a bunch of free stuff there. You should just go there anyways. flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Okay? It's called Getting the Deed. It's deal number 5. Okay? And it'll show you what I'm talking about, subject to. So I buy a house subject to, and I sell it on a lease option or a rent to own.
Right.
And we give people 2 years to go get their credit. Right? So this is the exact same phenomenon as an investor getting into the real estate industry. Because what I would do is I would assume I knew what their barrier was to getting the mortgage, and I would go fix all these things.
Oh, you thought you knew what their problem was, why they were unqualified?
Well, because they would tell me this is what I think it is.
Okay.
And then I have found out after a while, well, wait a minute. So now what I do is something different. Exactly what I'm trying to teach our listeners to do right now is now once I put them in the house, they're in the house about a month or two. What I do is I send them to the mortgage agent and I actually try to go get a mortgage.
Okay, I'm just one question. I'm confused about something. Doesn't a credit counseling person help them get their credit scores back up?
How do you know that's what the problem is?
No, I'm saying. Well, the question is.
So you're not listening. Stop talking. Stop for 1 second. By making them go get their mortgage first, now we know what the barriers are. So if it is credit, then we get them credit counseling and we work on that.
Oh.
If it's something else, then we work on that. Or maybe when we get credit counseling, they're like, well, you have these 3 things that need to be fixed on your credit and your score will be high enough. My point is that we were trying to help them and then go get the mortgage. Now what we do is we go get the mortgage and find out what the barriers are and fix those, and then we get the mortgage. It's stupid.
Right. See, my question really is, I thought those people figured that out.
But they don't know that. You don't know that.
Yeah.
So instead of listening to what they say, I actually send them to the mortgage agent and say, get me a mortgage.
Well, you see what trips up then for sure.
Yeah.
I got you.
And then I work on it, and it's a lot less work, and it's a lot less painful. And it's like the same thing with an investor. An investor comes in, and they think they know what the problems are, and they go off and they study and they do this, and they watch all these things that resonate with them, and they don't even know yet because they don't know what they don't know. Right?
Sure.
It's the same exact example.
Yeah. Well, really, by testing it, you find out what's real. I thought they would know how to do that, but apparently, they might be making the same mistake of just asking instead of finding out.
Right.
Okay. That I believe.
I've just been working on my credit score, and you've been seeing it. I mean, my whole credit score was predicated because I was a crazy bastard. Because I would go get a credit card for $25,000, and I would just hawk it up and go do something. You know what I mean? And then I would go buy a house or do whatever I was going to do. So I do some donations or whatever I was going to do, and I would hawk it up, and then I would pay it off.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, and I didn't know this, and you'd think I would know this, but my utilization rate, how much of my credit am I actually using? And my credit was lower than what it should have been because I'm hawking up my credit cards. And it's good it's not for regular liabilities, it's for assets usually.
Right. You're not blowing it on dumb stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to,
They're going to Vegas and I gambled it away.
Yeah, or buying new clothes or anything like that. I mean, once in a while I do that, but not often. It's not bad debt, it's good debt. But I just, all of a sudden I decided, okay, so I took some money and I kind of juggled it around. I got my utilization up, and all of a sudden I got my credit back up, and you know this, and now I'm going to go get more credit lines. So now instead of, spending $25,000 on a $25,000 credit line to do a renovation, right? I'm just going to be a little bit more careful about it.
Right.
All right, so way too much time on that. So here's one of the most powerful and ironclad rules in real estate. Ready?
Sure.
An offer a day keeps the debt away. Okay? The mindset of a real estate millionaire is nothing more or nothing less than this. You ready? There's nothing more important than the time spent interacting with prospects and potential motivated real estate sellers. And once you can weed away all the other things that you're trying to study and learn and concentrate on this one thing, put your attention on this one thing, and I'll read it again. There's nothing more important than the time spent interacting with prospects and potential motivated real estate sellers. Right? So let's dig in. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay? The words you use determine the responses you receive. Okay?
Well, it would have to.
So if I'm talking to you about doing a subject to deal or getting the deed deal, and I'm talking to you about putting the deed in my name and the mortgage stays in your name, don't you think that how I explain that to you has everything to do with you saying yes?
Oh, yeah. Something like that. You better be comfortable with the answer you give.
Right. And you heard me do it. And the reason why is because once I explain how it works, the getting the deed deal, you putting the deed in my name and the mortgage staying in your name, where I actually assume the mortgage, okay, is the safest deal structure I have. And when I explain it to you and you understand the logistics of it and how I structure it, you'll be like, yeah, I'll do that. But it's the words I use.
Yeah.
And it's the way I explain it. Right?
Oh, sure.
It has everything to do with it. So your words always have a significant impact on the person that hears them, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, because they might just keep a straight face, right, and not say too much. So you have to really see what the response is going on in their head best you can.
Totally. So let me be direct. No, not Bill. Let me be direct.
This early in the morning?
Yeah.
Hey, Bill wakes up direct.
If you're not highly successful in real estate, it is most likely because your words are not good enough. What else could it be?
Not enough.
So
not enough words.
Again. Yeah. If you're not highly successful in real estate, it is most likely because your words are not good enough. Now, think about what I'm saying there. Don't have enough leads? Well, maybe your advertising words are not correctly.
Well, sure, you can back up all the way to the very beginning, huh? Yeah.
You're not getting enough buyers for your house? Maybe your words are not.
Well, we've been talking about changing We Buy Houses because you see so many damn signs like that. Nowadays, you're lost in the shuffle. So, like, what else could we say? So we're looking for something else to do instead of being the same old, same old. You see that everywhere. It's like you don't notice it anymore. You just dismiss it. So things can change over time, too.
As a marketer in my private life, there's one thing that I've learned after 20 years. The mass media or the mass market humbles the living crap out of you. When you spend a ton of money to do a direct mail piece or put an ad out and people don't respond or they respond negatively, your ego has nothing to do with it. And it could be crushing. And I remember when it used to first happen to me.
Yeah.
It was crushing.
Just bad response, and you just felt you did something wrong, you got it wrong.
Yeah. Well, what happened was my belief is words are associated with mental image pictures. So your mind operates off of mental image pictures. So when you say cat, everybody gets a picture. But then if you say black cat, 13 inches tall, 6 pounds, white foot, left front, right?
Yeah.
Tail crooked in the back, hair an inch long. The more specific you make that picture of the cat, the more it's understood. That's why when you do affirmations and when you do goals, that's why it's so important, because the words transform into like little slideshows in your head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if those are mixed up or you don't understand something, you're not clear enough, how do you explain it? And let me tell you, the only reason, I think one of the biggest reasons why I've gotten so good at what I do is because I have to explain it to you guys all the time.
Oh, no, you learn a lot from teaching, Bill.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
You got to make it simple, right? So your words could set you free. The words you use can guarantee you tremendous lifelong income that makes the stock market returns look like a joke.
Right? An unpredictable joke at that.
Right. So we did a hot seat last night at the meetup.
Yeah, we did.
And one of the things I asked her was, about income. And she was talking about, I forgot what she, something about professionalism or something like that. So I asked her, what do you think professionals make? Like a doctor or a lawyer, like who do you think makes a lot of money in our society? That's what I asked her, like professionals. And she said real estate investors, which was good. But she also said doctors, lawyers, dentists, chiropractors.
Right.
This makes those guys look like they make chump change when you do it right. And it has everything to do with your words. So when you do this correctly, the power of invisible selling, pay attention to that.
Invisible selling.
You must believe in the power and the value of selling. So there's a lot of people that have a lot of negative connotation on sales. And that's because they had a salesman that wasn't trained try to get them to take something they don't want.
Sure.
Or trick them into taking something and it end up being a sham or a scam later.
Sure.
Right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going through an enlightenment process. And enlightenment means that you bring somebody up to a higher stage than where they're at now. Right? Enlightenment means that when you leave, they've learned a little bit more and they understand more and they're better off.
Right. They give them the power to make a decision better,
right,
and not be afraid, which translates to just plain old no.
Right. So people that don't understand do nothing.
Yeah. And that's all you have to do is put doubt in people.
Right.
Or uncertainty, and they can't make a decision. So it becomes not, they can't make a decision, it becomes no.
Right.
Can you say more about invisible selling? Are you doing that now?
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Invisible selling is enlightening somebody. You're not actually selling them. What you're doing is you're explaining things to them and you're talking to them and you're getting them to understand, and that's invisible selling.
I got it.
You're just making them come around to a way of thinking that they didn't know about. Like last night, look what happened in the meetup last night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were so many people that were like, I had no idea. The one girl said she's got an IRA money and she syndicated it and she's got apartment buildings and she invested in, $18 million. She didn't invest a lot, but she invested
her piece.
Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I had no idea this other stuff existed. That happens a lot when people come into Bill's Planet. It's like there's 7 deal structures, and out of the 7 deal structures, most people will hear about the, retail, rehab, retail,
rehab and houses,
buy and sell and flip and all that, but they don't know about the other stuff.
Yep.
They don't even know it exists, right?
Mm.
You can't just shoot from the hip or shoot from the lip. Just can't happen. You can't just think of something to say and think it's going to be good enough.
Mm.
So somebody says something to you and you have to be prepared for that.
Well, it seems like you're just responding when you do this, but I know you got bullets in your gun for all the questions that are already sorted out to be really good answers.
So if you're going to shoot from the hip or shoot from the lip, right, and not be prepared with your answers, that's a sure way to stay an amateur.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a person can ask you 5-10 questions. All I got to do is screw one of them up.
Right. So what happens is, if you don't have organized words, or if you don't have a way to answer things, or don't know how to handle the situation, then you don't close deals.
Mm.
Now, I've trained many, many salesmen, and it took me many years. And it's funny how this happens to me, because sometimes I feel like I'm just a dumbass. It just takes me a while to catch on. And later on, I realized, no, that has nothing to do with it. It actually is, it's hard to see the obvious sometimes, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for a very long time, I trained salesmen. And then one day I thought to myself, I don't need to train salesmen. I need to train me. What makes me different than everybody else?
Hmm.
And I realized, because I'm not a salesman, I'm a closer.
Hmm.
Salesmen talk.
Hmm.
They natter.
They keep pitching.
Yeah, natter means to keep talking and keep communicating with like useless type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like chatter.
Yeah. You use the words of the subject, but you just keep using the words of the subject.
Yeah. How many of our coaching clients or students will come to a seminar and they'll try to give their seller a seminar on what a subject to deal is?
Yeah.
It's much like going to the doctor. I got a broken leg, and the doctor telling you about his schooling on how he's going to fix your leg.
Well, I think they might be trying to do invisible selling, where they just hope that if they just keep explaining, right, the guy will catch on. But they're not doing it right then.
Right, they're not.
You have to be talking in terms of.
I'm going to tell you in the next 30 minutes, or maybe it takes 20 minutes, however long.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that what I'm going to teach you in the next 30 minutes, or whatever it takes me to teach you, is absolutely, totally, positively worth millions and millions of dollars if you do what I ask you to do. And I know this because I've trained people with this in other industries, not just real estate. I've trained salesmen all over the country to do this. And when they do it, they are rock stars. Rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, first thing I want to talk about is this is the reason why we don't shoot from the hip or shoot from the lip. Because if we do and we don't have prepared answers, then we stay an amateur. So if you're not closing enough deals, if you got leads coming in and you're not closing enough deals, this is your problem. You're shooting from the hip or shooting from the lip. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're not using scripts. So what is a script? So a script is just a set of words that's organized before you say them. That's all a script is.
It's preparation.
Yeah. Okay? So when you're talking to enough sellers, which you should be doing, you'll notice this when you're talking to enough sellers. You have enough experience to understand what I'm going to say now.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking to enough sellers, you'll soon realize that most of them have very common concerns that you'll hear over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They might word them differently, but they're the same exact concerns.
Sure.
So it's interesting because you're going to learn once I go through this that every industry only has 12 to 18 of these rebuttals or concerns. Okay? So every salesman, I don't care who he is, has to only learn 12 to 18, 12 to 18 persuasive answers for the common rebuttals. And they become superstars. That alone de-stresses the whole thing, right?
Well, just to get it nailed down to that exact number, because if you don't know that, you think they could say anything, but they don't.
Right.
It's these things.
Right. So today, I want to show you how to be and how to build a perfect script for yourself. And you'll do many, many, many more deals. Now, you could shortcut this and you can send me a support ticket because we actually have a presentation and all this is done for you, but I'm not here to sell that. I'm just showing you how to build your own. Okay? So let's go over the 8-step formula. All right? So first thing you're going to do, here we go. First thing you're going to do is you're going to write down every objection, stall, and resistance that you cover. Okay? Every stall. So give me an example, Peter, of a stall, an objection, or resistance.
Well, a stall, I think, would be something like, well, I think I need to think it over.
Right.
Or I got to talk to my
They
wife.
say no.
No, don't say no, but they stall. Like,
Right.
I have to think it over, or I have to check with check with my lawyer.
Right. And what would be an objection?
Objection was, well,
I don't want to put a deed in my name.
yeah, I don't put a deed in my name, or gee, I don't think I want to wait for my money.
Right.
I don't want to.
Right.
I want to get cash. I don't want to wait.
How about resistance?
Gee, I don't see. How is a resistance different than an objection?
Right.
I don't know. What is the difference?
So an objection, we should get a dictionary. Em, you want to get me the dictionary? An objection, please. An objection is...
Somewhere like opposite?
Right.
So, So resistance, they're not objecting, but they're just, it's like half objecting. I don't know.
Right.
This is the Webster's New World Dictionary. And we look these up not because Bill doesn't know them, it's because we give exact answers this way, because no people should ever argue about the meaning of things. Right. That's called insanity or communism.
Stop.
No, that's, people redefine words and they twist things around for their own ways, and that's a dirty trick that some people play.
I got to tell you, you threw a curveball at me the other day with the dictionary.
What'd I do?
You told me to look up Republican Party.
Oh.
Go look that up.
It's not in every dictionary, but some of them will just explain the origin, what it was created for. It's quite interesting. It's nothing to argue about on television. It's just the original from 100 some years ago.
So objection. A feeling or expression of opposition, disapproval, or dislike. So it's a feeling of expression of opposition, disapproval, or dislike.
Right, so now I got examples.
So hang on. Let's look up resistance.
Oh, that was objection?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was resistance. Okay. Go ahead. So a stall, a person puts time into it then. Right. Something has to wait, so what that does is kill your conversation, so you can't keep talking, because they say they have to go do something else and you're left hanging. An objection is they just turn around and say no to something. They don't like it. They don't want it. They don't want to do it. And that ends your pitch too, because they just said no, one way or the other. Now,
so
resistance.
I think this is the best one. A force that retards, right?
Which means slows.
It slows down or hinders or opposes motion.
Okay.
So resistance is like a barrier. Okay.
It seems to me to be cutting a fine line between objection. Can you give some examples? Because you know better what you mean here.
What does objection mean?
Objection is will be more counter. Don't want to do something. Don't like it.
Right.
unwilling to proceed with that. It's against. It's just opposite.
Right. So, objection would be, I'm not putting the deed in my name. I'm not putting the deed in your name and keeping the mortgage in my name. That's an objection.
Yeah. Don't want to do it. It's just no.
Resistance is, if you don't pay me $30,000 walk-away money, I'm not doing the deal.
So they're willing to do something, but there's some gray areas of where the balls fall, where the terms
so the rest
fall.
of the deal fell together, but that one point is sticking the deal.
So how about like in a car, the person goes, see, I don't like that color.
Right.
I mean, they still might buy it, might not be there. It's not my favorite color.
Right.
It's not a complete no, but it's like, that would be a resistance like that?
Right. So let me give you an example. Resistance would be you're driving a car down the highway, and it's 75 degrees and beautiful, and you're driving 85 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That would be me.
Yeah.
With smoke pouring out the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That would be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Resistance would be a snowstorm, right? Mm-hmm. With a bunch of snow on the ground and snow quarrels. So you have trouble seeing. So the visual is like 2 car lengths in front of you. Are you going to drive 85 miles an hour?
No.
Are you going to be able to get there?
Yeah.
It's just there's something between you and getting there.
Mm-hmm. Not a complete deal breaker, but it's throwing up.
Right. An objection is you have to get off the highway.
Yeah.
There's no more driving. We're done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get it?
Yeah.
Good. We good?
Yeah. And do you have to know what they are when people throw them at you?
No.
But you just hear what it is and you just respond correctly. It'll be one of those
Here's
things.
an amazing thing. This is actually a Grant Cardone saying, so I'm going to take it from Grant Cardone. He says, I think 85% of all of your resistance, objection stalls and resistance or rebuttals, however you want to call it, are actually complaints. All you have to do is acknowledge them and keep asking the question. Like in the case of the yellow car, you say, oh, so let's do that.
Yeah.
So you just say that again.
Not crazy about the color of the car.
Oh, that makes sense. So you ready to do the paperwork?
So it's not a complete objection. They're not crazy
it's just
about
a complaint.
Yeah, and they can deal with it. They can deal with it. I wish I had a swimming pool. That's fine. But let's buy it.
I wish my payment was $250 and you give them a $278 payment. If they really want the car, they're going to pay the extra $28.
Yeah.
So you just acknowledge. I understand that.
Yeah, I've had people do that to me. It's almost annoying, but you got nowhere to go with it.
Right.
There's no argument. It's just.
So deal with it. Make a decision.
Take it or leave it. I mean, nothing's perfect.
Let me
nobody's.
give an example. I have one of my coaching clients was at the meetup last night, and she's got a $1 million house. The house is worth $1.16 million, right? He's asking $975, and he's been kind of stringing her along, right? So I told her, because he's trying to go between, should he do an option with her and list it with a realtor, or should he do a slot deal with her? And if you don't know what these are, go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff, right? And I said to her, he's complaining. So here's the deal. He'll go, he's asking $975, he'll do an option for as low as $940. I said, no. Call him back and very firmly say to him, I'll do an option for $875 or I'll do a slot deal for $975. Pick one. That's it.
Yep.
Take the complaints away.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back and forth. I mean, who hasn't argued with somebody going nowhere? Just shut up and eat the pizza or eat the fried chicken. Pick one.
Right.
You won't get anywhere. Just
you're
stop.
going to start off with writing down every objection, stall, and resistance that you encounter. And the best way, because you ask, how do you know what they are? So here's how you know what they are. You don't know how to answer them. And you're spending too much time in your head thinking about, how do I answer him? Okay?
Yeah.
And like I said, every industry has between 12 and 18 of them. So we are going to have between 12 and 18 of them. Okay?
Do you have that listed somewhere?
No, because every deal is different. So like a subject to deal will have different objections than a lease option deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have 12 or 18 in each one of them. There's a lot of them that are common.
Yeah.
But I haven't taken the time to, I don't want to overload. What we're going to do here today is much better.
Mm.
Okay? Because people will gravitate to certain deals and do them first.
Okay.
Okay? So once you have these 12 to 18, and you're not going to have that many in the beginning, even if you got one or two, you just start with that.
Yeah.
Okay, what you're hearing, right? Organize these OSRs, which is objection, stalls, and resistance. Organize these things that you're hearing by listing each one on the top of a blank piece of paper. So if one of the objections is, I need to think about it, then put it on the top of the piece of paper. I need to talk to my attorney, put that on the top of a blank piece of paper. I need to talk to my accountant, put that on a blank piece of paper. I don't want to put the deed in your name.
Yeah.
Put that on a piece of paper. A separate piece of paper for each one. Right? Start writing, this is number 3. Start writing down your best answers. Right? Your best responses.
Oh, yeah. Take a few minutes and just think of something to say.
Right. For example, I'm happy with a realtor. I'm happy with my realtor.
Mm-hmm.
That's the objection. I'm happy with my realtor. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your answer is, what do you like most about your realtor?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's your response.
Instead of fighting it,
right?
You go along with it.
Well, now you're going to find out what the plus points are so that you can actually maybe improve upon that.
Right.
Right. But that's what you write down. So if the top of the piece of paper is, I'm happy with my realtor, as an example, then you would write down, what is it that you like most about your realtor, as one of your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're going to write down as many things as you can come up with. Okay. And that alone, first of all, coming up with the 12 or 18 objections, stalls, and resistance is very exhilarating. Because now it becomes simple, like you said. Now there's only 12 or 18. You don't have to go study psychology for 15 years to understand it. You break it right down. It takes the stress right out of selling, right out of talking to sellers. Okay?
Yeah.
Now when you actually two-dimensionally, meaning paper and pencil, start writing down your answers and actually have to start thinking about answers, it's another exhilarating point.
Well, you have a solution now to a problem.
Yeah, you're working it through in your mind, but you're also writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you'll probably realize, oh, no, that sounds stupid, or I shouldn't say that, or maybe I should add this word, or maybe I should do this, or, it'd be better if I did that. And ironically enough, by putting attention on these objection, stalls, and resistance, what you'll do is you'll start watching TV, you'll be in a restaurant, you'll see a newspaper ad, you'll be in a store, in a convenience store, you'll be at a gas station, and you'll hear words that be like, oh my God, I should put that in my answer. That would be a great word to put in my answer.
People talking and things going back. Oh, cool.
You'll start putting, because you have your attention on this, you'll start hearing words that you never thought of before. Like for example, relevance. I don't even know where that word came from. Relevance, right? That has no relevance with this, right? And you'll hear that word and you'll be like, oh my God, I could put that as one of my answers. I could put that in that sentence and it'll make it sound better.
It's a big fancy word.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
I don't know if I can fully get people to understand that, but if you do this drill the way we're talking about, and you put your attention, and you do them one at a time, right? You do one at a time. You do one objection, stall, and resistance at a time. So you put one on the top of the piece of paper, and you work on that for a day or two, or whatever it takes.
Yeah, more answers will come later, too, won't they? You just keep filling it in as you go.
Right. So that's number 3. Number 4, you're going to generate additional quality responses, like I'm talking about. This gives you a variety of responses. That actually brings us into number 5, but the reason why you have a variety of responses is because people have different personalities.
Mm-hmm. I've seen you be real blunt with some people. I was like, oh my God, I'd never say that. But it was right for that guy.
Right.
Because he was full of it, and he needed to have somebody say, look, here's the deal.
So you need to have a variety of responses, and the more you talk to people and the more you use these, the more you'll get responses, because different people have different personalities, which brings us into number 5, which include responses for every personality type that you can think of. So here's some of the personalities that I would like you to think about. Okay, so you have fear, right? You have passive aggressive, right? You have unexpressed resentment, right? Which is a hidden thing.
They're smiling, but they're resenting what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. You have anger, right? You have antagonism, you have boredom, conservatism, cheerfulness. These are all different personalities, which, by the way, most people will be in fear, passive-aggressive, unexpressed resentment, and anger and antagonism.
Not much conservative?
Yeah, there's not many of those people around. Okay? People think they are. But when you get down, when you break the social veneer and actually get to their core personality, their long-term, where they live, like, if you put a camera in their house, see how they react without other people around. Not their social personality, their actual, real, long-term personality, right? So when you start writing your answers, start writing some of your answers in those different lights, those different ideas. And this is very, very exhilarating, keeps coming up, very therapeutic for you to do. And you don't need to spend tons of time doing this. Just evolve it as you go. And as you hear, you talk to a seller and you don't have success, scan back and think what was said and find out. And I tell people all the time, you want to hire the best coach in the world for nothing? Just record yourself. So if you start recording what you're saying to people and you start listening to yourself, these objection, stalls, and resistant answers will help you whether or not, that's how I did it.
Yeah.
It helps you whether or not it was responsive or not. So when I say to people, say this question, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Those exact words, emotion, skill, everything is because I actually recorded myself and listened to the answers while I wasn't trying to do the cycle or trying to sell somebody. And that question and those words got the best results because I could hear people's personalities lift up. They got cheerful, or they got happier, or their emotions got more positive.
Well, they're working more with you than against you, and that's what you're gauging while you're doing your phone calls or talking to people. You're gauging: am I getting them closer to me? Am I pushing them away?
Right.
Am I engaging the guys? Oh God, I'm losing them.
Right.
You can feel that.
Right. Totally. And see it sometimes.
Yeah. And this thing you're saying about when you're making phone calls, I spotted that with your coaching students and myself. Like you'd make some calls, and when you're done, you feel like crap.
Right.
And if you don't write down after any call, like, you have to go, but what just happened? Oh, crap, I didn't know how to answer that question. Right. You write it down. You won't feel bad because you know what happened. If you don't identify it, you go, I don't know what to do. I make calls and it doesn't work out. I don't know what to... And you're just too generalized. Right. And you can't fix it because you don't know what you did.
Exactly.
So you write it down. You go, that's what it is. And it won't stop you.
Right.
You'll just fix it and move on and not quit.
Well, number 6 will help you with what exactly you're talking about, because number 6 is brainstorm new responses for your objection, stalls, and resistance, which is just what you're talking about. So what happens is you'll record yourself, and even if you just talk to some of your friends, right? Get with other people that are studying real estate, real estate investors. Ask how they would answer that question, and kind of brainstorm.
Sure.
Right. Go to networking meetings. We're really good. My coaching clients do that all the time in my coaching group. They constantly work with one another. Get in some forums and ask some questions. Go on some online forums. Bigger Pockets is great for that. There's a few others that are out there. Just kind of get some ideas of what somebody else would say. Right. Then one of the final pieces, because we're on number 7. Okay, is once you go through that, and each one of these, you're going to get better and better at your responses. It takes some work, but I'm telling you, you do this for a couple months and you put this playbook together, you're unstoppable. Okay. Number 7, interview an investor superstar. Right? Somebody like me or like yourself. Find somebody, go to your RIA meeting, I don't know, buy somebody lunch, do something. Get in front of one and then ask them how they respond to the rebuttals or the objection, stalls, and resistance that you have. That once you've compiled 12 or 18 of them, or even a dozen, 10 or 12 or whatever, the main ones, ask them, how do you respond to these? When somebody says, I need to think about it, or I need to bring it to my lawyer, or I won't put the deed in my name. I will put the deed in your name and keep the mortgage in my name. How do you answer those questions? Right? Now, you've been listening to me say these for some time on all these podcasts, and they seem unorganized because they are. In my head, they're organized because they're in my playbook. Once you start putting these questions in order and in your playbook, and you start writing them down and you start messing with them, like adjusting them, you'll start, what I teach you on all these different podcasts will start coming together because it's all in one spot now. It's in your playbook.
Right.
It's in your script book. Okay. And then number 8 is edit, hone, and polish your scripts. Right? So make every line effective. Make every line sing. Get rid of lazy or ineffective words. Okay? And at the end of the day, you'll soon realize there is power in bringing up objections and rebuttals first. And this is the amazing part, which we're going to end the show with. The amazing part is that once you have these objections, stalls, and resistance, instead of, and you know what they are, and you know they're common, instead of waiting for your seller to eventually bring them up, I found by bringing them up first, the clients are impressed with how knowledgeable I am about real estate. Right? No, I'm not knowledgeable. I've just heard a lot. It's not like I've invented this. Somebody else did the work for me. All I did was organize it.
Yeah.
Now, here's the most exhilarating thing, one of the most exhilarating things I've had happen in my career is when I hear my coaching clients use my words.
Yeah. I remember one of the guys, I think it was at one of the meetups, and he's talking. He goes, "Gee, it sounds like Bill." Right. I mean, the words are coming right out of his mouth. I mean, I know what you mean. It's
they elicit the same exact responses, and they actually it's funny because it's like I'm watching myself in a mirror.
Yeah. It's a real credit. It's a real validation of the work. Yeah. But the important thing is this is not so much opinionated. This is just factual. If you're taking down people's objections, you're not making it up. That's people's objections. If you're coming up with nice answers, you're coming up with nice answers that'll fit.
Right.
I'm sure if you're going to cover this before the end of the show, but do you have a general approach to how you answer? Because I noticed that one of your first answers wasn't like, "No, you're wrong. It should be." You don't fight it. You actually ask like, "Well, what do you like about it?" Do you have an approach like you try to agree with them first, or do you have a general approach?
Yes.
Are you going to share that with us?
I wasn't going to.
But just like a strategy, or
yeah, I could do that. So if you keep people entertained, I'm going to go in the other room and get a book, and I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm entertaining. Okay. I would do a little soft shoe, but you can't see me unless it's not. So when I started making calls, I didn't know anything about stalls, objections, and resistances. I just did the best I could to answer it. But in my earlier sales, when I sold other things, I would actually wind up talking a long time. I would just keep talking, hoping I'm going to get rid of the objections. I don't even know if I did it on purpose, but I was just going along that way so that they wouldn't throw it at me in case I didn't know how to answer it. That was my handle before I knew how this worked. I would just try to get it all out there, and they wouldn't go, "But what about?" And then I go, "I wouldn't know how to answer that." But this is the much more scientific way to do it. And I think this would help with maybe any part of life, like wives, husbands. What do you think, Emma? Wives, husbands, boyfriends? Maybe it would help with that too. So the crazy thing about it is it doesn't apply to just one profession or one part of life. It could actually help you in a lot of different ones. Bill's still rummaging. Emma's going to go see if he needs help unrummaging. But I heard Bill talking with his coaching clients, and I hear that they would get stuck on the phone calls. They didn't know what to do. So that's when I suggested that if they write down the objection as it occurred, they wouldn't get stuck on the phone call and be kind of lost at it. And there's a book.
So, I wasn't expecting to do this, so this is a curveball for me. Sorry about leaving the mic. This is actually something that Dave Lindahl teaches.
Oh.
Okay. So, what he does is he talks about, first of all, this is a whole show by itself, by the way.
Oh.
We're going to slam it in the next 5 minutes. So, first of all, let me see here. I don't have what I'm looking for here, but I'm going to go over this.
So he's specifically working on objection stalls and resistance in this?
This is like negotiating tactics.
Oh, I haven't seen this one yet.
So it's feel, felt, found.
Oh.
So he says, I know how you feel. Many other sellers have felt the same way.
Oh, okay.
However, they have found that if...
Oh, geez.
So it's feel, felt, found.
So first you're kind of agreeing with him. You're not fighting it. Say, well, I know how you feel.
Right.
Other people have felt the same, so that the person isn't some weirdo. He's not doing anything wrong.
Right.
People have been in his position before. But then they have found, which is the solution to the problem, that they do this and it works out fine. So he can follow along in other investors' or sellers' position to do this, and they wouldn't be the weirdo in the room. They'd just be following along everybody else.
Right.
Wow, that's clever. I know how you feel. Others have felt the same. But we found that I have found, they have found, right? They have found.
Right.
So you're not putting it in your ballpark like you're making him think some way, like they have found. That's awesome.
So then I went over on this coaching too, which I'm not going to do this, but one of the most common things you can do is agree with someone, which is very much the same as acknowledging somebody. So if you repeat what they say, they know you've acknowledged them. So if you say, I don't want the deed in your name and the mortgage in my name. All right, so I totally get it. So you don't want me to put the deed in my name, right? And then they feel like you're tracking with them. They feel like you understand that. Then once you do that, you can start talking about solutions.
Yeah.
But they feel acknowledged.
Yeah, so well, you get it. And it's not like you're stupid to feel that way. They're not.
Right.
It's nothing wrong with it, but there's a way to fix it. There's a way to get around it. And I've heard you repeat many things. Just that's a brilliant thing.
Right.
When somebody says, and you go, so this is the reason, right? And the guy goes, no, not really. And then you find out if there's something else going on, you could track it down at least. So you're sure you know what the person's really concerned about. Exactly. That's really the smartest thing when you ask that kind of question and repeat back.
Yeah, you don't want to sound like you're just repeating everything they say verbatim.
Oh, no, that's the worst communication.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
You want to just make sure that and you don't always have to repeat it, but that's a good way to do it. I had a coaching client out in California, and she was a sweetheart girl, but she was a little aloft.
A little what?
Aloft.
Aloof?
Yeah, aloof, yeah. Same thing, yeah.
Yeah, like this.
A little bit,
okay.
Like she
not connected?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a sweetheart. She was a great girl.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things that I taught her to do, because she was always cheerful and bubbly and and she was really that way. Right? Well, an angry person is not good. They're going to think, who's this girl?
Oh, yeah.
She's a nut job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 ships missed.
So one of the things I taught her to do was to mirror people's personalities.
Right.
Right? Not mirror their words, but mirror their personalities. So if you're repeating what they say, and you're mirroring their personality, it's a shoo-in that you're building affinity and rapport, and you're in their reality, and everything is like done correctly.
Well, you're connecting with them, and they'll feel that.
So you just those are all advanced skills, but it's very vital when you're talking about somebody's personal life, like their finances. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're in a portion of their life that they don't talk to everybody about. This is uncomfortable for them.
Well, people get it that if you see a friend that's really sad, you don't go, hey, how's it going? You don't do that. You go, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
You try to get closer. If somebody's really happy, you don't try to be miserable with them.
Or you don't go to a funeral laughing the whole time.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It's just miss emotion. It's the wrong thing.
It's the wrong, yep.
Right. Okay, so
Thanks for that.
yeah. So building this little playbook that we're talking about, just that we just explained in the 8 steps, all right, is definitely a powerful, powerful tool, right? So done correctly, you'll notice that clients start saying things like, how does this work? Right? Instead of, I need to think about it.
Oh, yeah.
See, because the scripts and the presentation that you're doing, which is the same thing, a script and a presentation is the same thing, will walk you into the close, which is what I was trying to tell you before. There's a difference between salesmen and there's a difference between closers, because everything a closer says and does is leading up to the potential of doing the deal. Right? So your stories and your parables, which are stories telling examples, your reality, your examples are all leading up to doing a subject to deal, or leading up to doing a lease option deal, or leading up to doing a slot deal. It all connects. So by the time you get done and you get to the end, there's like an aha moment for your seller, because you've enlightened them or brought them through the stages of reality and the stages of cognicism, however you would say that, being cognitive of those ideas are more and more real for them.
I remember the first time you threw that at me, it was a real eye-opener, because I was more of a salesman, because I didn't know enough to just get to the end, thinking if I get to the end too fast, they'll say no. So I kept trying to sell till I had them all convinced, and then they would just say yes. But then the point you showed me was that you just you have to know what you're going for and ask questions that'll just close it. And if they don't close, that's okay. Just keep talking.
Right.
But like at some point you got to say, well,
scientifically, you don't just keep talking. Scientifically, what I'm trying to show you here is you go back and find out what is the objection, what is the stall, what is the resistance, what portion of the conversation knocked you out of their reality. Like I would never put a deed in somebody's name and keep the mortgage. What are you, nuts? That's not their reality. Right?
Sure.
So you just change your way of talking to them, and you just change the deal structure, which, by the way, if somebody says, oh, I won't put the deed in your name and keep the mortgage in my name. Well, how about we do a little bit like owner financing, and we do a wraparound mortgage, which it means that you keep the mortgage in your name, you actually write me a mortgage, and we do a regular closing with lawyers. Oh, I'll do that. It's the same thing. It's just the way you explain it, right? So it's not the deal structure that's the problem. It's the human emotion of the person that's going to do the deal with you, the seller's human emotion that you're dealing with. Before the math could all make sense, all the deal structure could make sense, but the person that it was explained to doesn't understand it because of the words you use were incorrect, and they didn't fully get that they're safe. See?
Sure.
And this is huge, because when you start doing deals, and this is much advanced for a podcast.
Yeah.
But when you start doing deals, this is the barrier. This is the meat and potatoes of the business. And you're coming through the evolution of being a real estate agent. A real estate investor. I don't know why I said that. Because real estate agents have the same problem. If we teach this to real estate agents, they could become super agents. This is why real estate agents fail, is because of this podcast. This is the only reason why they fail. They don't know how to close people. They don't know how to use objection, stalls, and resistance. They don't know how to handle rebuttals. So what they do is they sell their seller on making a perfect place, so there are no rebuttals, and they get a clean sale.
Right.
That's why they make them do repairs.
They bring a buyer in, and they complain about this, they complain about that. They don't know how to handle it.
Fix it.
So say, can you lower the price? or
they make the seller fix it.
Yeah.
Instead of actually handling the emotional portion, because realtors actually think they're selling a house. What they're really doing is they're selling the concept to the owner that they should own the house. It's like a new owner.
Like experience, this would be yours, and think how life would be here.
Right. But it's the same way that an investor an investor that's doing creative real estate needs to realize that he's dealing with Homo sapien human beings' emotions. The math backs that up. The deal structure backs it up. So many people come into Bill's Planet and they think all these deal structures, oh my God, and they think that's like the magic pill or the magic bullet. And they go out there and start doing it, and they realize, hey, wait a minute. What happened? And it's these things we're talking about today is what happened. So my point is that I was making is that I know I have an investor that's coming through the evolution of being an investor when they start asking me, how do you answer this question? Well, he said this, and I stumbled and didn't know what to say. That's when I know your investor's actually out there and he's going through the evolution of becoming an investor. Because nobody teaches this, not in real estate investing. Nobody teaches this. Nobody teaches this. Nobody.
Well, it's easier to just do volume and hope you catch a good investor, but your closing rate is really good.
Yeah.
You can take a person that's maybe-ish and just turn
What
them around.
happens is too many gurus teach, get the low-hanging fruit and don't even know they're teaching it. What I'm saying is there's a prospect, there's a suspect, and there's a deliberator. Right? So the prospect is the low-hanging fruit. The suspects are obvious because you whack them. But the deliberator is that guy that needs to think about it, needs a little bit of work, and you can massage him a little bit and turn it into a deal. And I'm really good at those.
You are.
I'm really good at those. Right? So what happens is if you don't correctly use these words, what will happen is you won't get the how does this work. Instead, you'll get, I need to think about it, and they'll shoo you out of the house. Right? Your words determine what you get in life, I promise. If you're not rich or making enough money in real estate, it's because your words or how you're talking are not rich enough. And what does that mean by rich enough? Does that mean you need $5 words, $10 words? No, rich enough means that they resonate with your seller. They're said the way your seller communicates. Right? Hey, Guido, you want to buy this house or what?
Yeah, sure. Where do I sign?
Or you get the other one that's like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I never sold a house before. I don't know what to do. Two different personalities. Are you going to talk to both of them the same way? No. Okay. Concerns I give it again. Concerns and objections are either stated overtly or unstated covertly. But they're always, always, always there. Question is, how will you handle them when they're sitting in front of you? Because they're always there. Right? Really, what else would it be? Why else would you not be successful? What else would it be? There's so many other real estate agents. It's the second time I did it. So many other real estate investors that do this. What's the difference between them and you? And most people think it's their money, their experience. No, it's this playbook. It's this, how you talk to people, how your scripts are written, how you memorize them, how you mimic people, how do you how do you acknowledge them, right? Are you paying attention to all this? It's all these little pieces we're talking about in this podcast that makes a huge difference.
You're talking quality.
Yeah.
See, some guys will say just do enough quantity and you'll catch one. I have, when I wasn't so hot at it, or however hot I am now, but I've caught a few that were low-hanging fruit. But you're talking quality.
Right.
To increase the odds, decrease the number of deals per square inch of time and all that. You're talking quality.
Well, you spend a lot of money and time to find that deal, and why lose it? Because you're shooting from the hip or shooting from the lip.
Yep.
Right. So, lastly, as long as you see yourself as a customer, like a customer service person or a
customer service representative,
or a customer counselor, right? You will not engage in the behaviors that multi-million-dollar salespeople are engaged in. If you think sales is not your thing, you will not engage in sales, and you'll come up with all the unusual solutions that will take you longer and longer to hit the target. You'll work 5, 10, 20, 30 times harder than someone that actually confronts the fact that I need to learn some sales skills and get off the thing that I'm not a salesman. I don't want to be a pushy salesman. I don't want to be a used car sleazy salesman, right? As soon as you can get over that and start learning some of the things that we're talking about here today, the sooner you'll start raking in the big bucks.
You know what someone said last night at the meetup? The young guy, been studying real estate for like 2 months. He's just trying to suck it all up. He says, when I first started doing this, I wanted money for me, but I think I figured out that you're actually helping people buy a house and sell a house. I said, yeah, that's the right attitude if you have that attitude. So keep that in mind. Don't, we all doing this because we want some money, of course. But don't think that's the only reason. Realize the other people involved, there's a seller and a buyer, and you're helping them.
Right.
And that'll change your attitude. So
In
it's not
closing,
sales.
just think of this. If I didn't try to sell you my course, if I didn't handle your objections, your stalls, and your resistance, and push you through giving me $500 for my course, would you actually buy it? Or would you listen to the noise and the chatter in your own head and do an A equals A because some other guy tried to sell you shoes in a shoe store when you were 16 years old and you didn't like it and you hate salesmen and you turned me down on my pitch because I'm like that other shoe salesman and I'm just a salesman. I'm too salesy for you. But if I actually get you through that and you buy the $500 course that's worth $5,000 and you actually do the course and you all of a sudden have a new lifestyle because I pushed you through it, why am I bad? Because I teach you how to buy and sell real estate for $100 deposit, and I teach you how to talk to people, and I give away things like what we're giving away right now. Is that really that bad? If you have an owner that's stuck, and they don't know what to do, and you come along and you use all these skills to push him through his own crap, is that really bad? We're not taking advantage of anybody. We're not doing anything dishonest. We're not being covert. We're not like some sleazy guy standing out on a sidewalk of Las Vegas trying to get you to go see a stripper. We're not that person. We actually have a good, honest product. But there are skills to help your sellers and help your buyers so that they understand. Because people that don't know do nothing. They freeze. They say no. And your job is to get them through that. And your job is to make them understand how that could be. And get them to the other side of the fence. And when you do that, you feel awesome. I mean, look at the house we're buying right now. What'd you say last night? Was 21%?
25%.
25% loan to value ratio? This guy is excited. He emails me every couple of days. When are we going to close?
Yeah.
He's excited.
Yeah.
And he's losing money.
Yeah.
He's losing like what? $40-something thousand. But we've done all the right things with him, right? And we've done all the skills that I'm talking about right now. And he's excited about the close because we're solving his problem.
Yeah, he got himself into mess. This is the best he can get out of it. And
so learn what I talk about today, and I promise you, the stress of talking to sellers will dissolve. It will go away. It will disappear. It'll become fun when you do what I'm talking about. When you start writing down these objection, stalls, and resistance, and you start writing down these rebuttals, and you just categorizing them alone and knowing that there's only 12 or 18 is a relief.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a little practice. And all of a sudden, you'll start noticing your life changing. Because, by the way, this works with your spouse, too.
Oh, I said that when you were away.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah. This works with your spouse.
It's just something that works in life. Any place. People will respond, and you have to just have a decent answer.
Works with the grocery teller when you want to try to get something with the grocery teller. It works with the limousine driver. It works with the laundry person. It works with any human being. No matter what you do, you will improve it. I might have somebody listening to this podcast that doesn't even want to do real estate, but will just listen to it and go do it in his grocery store.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden his sales will increase.
He's a personal trainer. He gets more clients now.
It could be that way. Totally. Okay? End of podcast. So here's the deal. Go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. I had Emma upload some new forms there. So if you haven't been there in a while, go check them out because I think you'll be pretty cool. They're actually forms on how to estimate repairs in a house. When you're walking around and taking a look at the house, this one-page form will tell you how much to do for repairs. So go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. I also have scripts on there. I have for sale by owner scripts on there. There's other scripts on there. So if you don't want to go do all this research, you can start getting some of that stuff from me and seeing some of my lines and how I do it when I'm sitting in a room or sitting with somebody. Okay. With that said, thanks for being here. Please, 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 please go give us a review. We're really getting a lot of reviews lately. We've been improving the podcast. We make sure that we are giving content and not joking around like so many people have asked us to do. And I would like your feedback. I would like your help. If you're listening to these podcasts and you have an opinion, good, bad, or indifferent, good, bad, or ugly, please go give us a review, because that's how we adjust the podcast and that's how we improve the podcast. So please go give us a review. Okay? Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.